Hello, YouTube. I got a lot to say, so I wrote it down. We're going to go ahead and start. Most will not be ready for this. You are not what you think you are. You look in the mirror, and your perceived physical eyes transcribes what they perceive as a physical body. However, that is just what our conscious collapse the waves into.
Quote, in conclusion, our reported phenomena of non-local consciousness present intriguing examples that should be addressed when evaluating whether consciousness may be more than an emergent property of brain activity. Despite sophisticated physicalist theories of consciousness dependent on brain function, these examples apparently demonstrate non-local aspects of consciousness, perceiving information in a way that is not limited by our conventional understanding of time and space, and that is not dependent on the brain function. Many of these data have been observed with objective measures in the laboratory in a valid and reliable way, or collected in the field with impeccable methods and exclusion of fraud. While materialism explains much in our world, it does not explain everything, including these phenomena. Non-materialist theories encompassing consciousness as fundamental and/or non-local may provide a pathway to understanding these phenomena. Perhaps holding the hypothetical assumption that consciousness is fundamental and focusing on what we can learn about the mechanism, mediators, moderators, and practical applications of non-local consciousness will reveal novel areas to explore. End quote. Wabe et al. 2022.
All right. To add on to the sources and links I just posted from my personal theory, which has actually already been stated, discussed, and reviewed, the memory of our reality is not stored in the brain, but is stored all around us like a cloud system in computer software. Our physical reality is the zeros and ones organized by force, energy, or power us humans call conscious, operating as the algorithms to form a conceptual reality. A conceptual reality that feels very real to us, which can result in perceived very real things such as physical injury and death.
Quote, the main takeaway from the April 2022 study is that physical reality in the quantum world is made of mutually exclusive entities that, nonetheless, do not contradict but complete each other. End quote. Dimitropoulos, 2022. Quote, Bingos is elated. The fact that a material particle may behave like a wave and light like a particle, depending on the context, is still one of the most intriguing and beautiful mysteries of quantum physics, he says. End quote. Dimitropoulos, 2022.
I will further elaborate with more sources and links. Alright. True reality, as far as we have discovered as a collective conscious, is on a quantum level with superposition of quantum energies. Once the quantum energies are collapsed into a perceived solid uniform reality, go from quantum physics to classical physics. The physical reality we are familiar with to play the game of life. However, true reality lies in the superposition of the quanta and how conscious shapes it into a perceived conceptual reality.
Quote, that reality might be in the eye of the observer is a very peculiar aspect of the physical reality in the quantum domain, and the mystery itself shows no signs of abating, both researchers agree. End quote. Dimitropoulos, 2022.
The 11 dimensions give shape to all that exists. All that exist are in the 11 dimensions. The 11 dimensions are the point of all 10 dimensions combined plus time. This is the 0 point of all probabilities and possibilities combined, the point of everything and the point of nothingness. everything is already collapsed into the one point of all. If all is taken from all to expand out into reality, then you have nothing at the 0 point. Yet all derives from the 0 point. All that exists from the 0 point is probabilities and possibilities, with probabilities being the strongest timelines. The 0 point is the initial thought and acts as a toroidal. As of now, strings are theoretically the most fundamental physical existence, which are the building blocks of all physical life. This is string theory or M theory. From the initial thought at the 0 point, strings are sent out into all realities, which consist of all metaphysical and physical universes. Thought is energy. The initial thought was the initial energy that put all strings in motion to create, according to eons of physical laws throughout all of entirety. In our universe, we have our own set of physical laws based on quarks, gluons, and leptons. However, other universes may have very different or very similar laws of physics on how to develop and use strings. In the 0 point of all has to be a conscious, which is one with source. Source being the timeless cradle of all probabilities and possibilities. Source is aware first, then consciousness, and from consciousness derives the initial thought, which is unconditional love. There is no conditions to the creative force. The force just creates, whether it is positive or negative, and no conditions equal love. The laws of physics are different across all realities, but consciousness is constant across all realities.
Quote, in string theory, physicists tell us that the subatomic particles that make up our universe are created within 10 spatial dimensions, plus an 11th dimension of time, by the vibrations of exquisitely small superstrings. End quote. Srivastava, 2022.
Humans on planet Earth exist in the 4th dimension, consisting of 3 spatial dimensions and 1 dimension of time. You then have the 5th dimension, which are all the probabilities and possibilities of 4th dimension timelines. You then have the 6th dimension, which is the link and ability to travel the probable and possible 5th dimension timelines. And the 7th dimension, which is the complete beginning and ending of all timelines. The 8th dimension are the existence of multiple physical universes or multiple main timelines. The ability to jump from one of the universes or main timelines to another is the 9th dimension. The 10th dimension is all of the universes in entirety, along with all of their probabilities and possibilities combined together in one point. With superstring theory or M theory, physicists theorize the infinitesimally small packs of energy in the shape of vibrating strings, some open, some closed, are what make up all of the subatomic particles for all of existence in the physical multiverse systems.
Quote, the theory famously posits that gravitons, as well as electrons, photons, and everything else, are not point particles, but rather imperceptibly tiny ribbons of energy, or strings, that vibrate in different ways. End quote. Wolchover, 2017. Quote, Albert Einstein, in his theory of special relativity, determined that the laws of physics are the same for all non-accelerating observers, and he showed that the speed of light within a vacuum is the same no matter the speed at which an observer travels, according to Wired. End quote. Dutfield et al., 2023. Quote, as a result, he found that space and time were interwoven into a single continuum known as space-time, and events that occur at the same time for one observer could occur at different times for another. End quote. Dutfield et al., 2023.
What was just described is the theory of dimensions based on general relativity on a larger scale based on time evolution. On a smaller quantum scale, reality is based on probabilities and possibilities, not time evolution. With general relativity, existence is held together by the constant gravitational field based off of time expansion. With the microscopic quantum world, all of existence is based off of probabilities and possibilities, not time evolution. With subatomic particles, such as electrons and fermions, things don't flow in a linear manner. They are superposition. With superposition, an object can be in any one place at any time.
Quote, quantum physics tells us that the subatomic particles that make up our world are collapsed from waves of probability simply by the act of observation. In the picture we are drawing for ourselves here, we can now start to see how each of us are collapsing the indeterminate wave of probable futures contained in the fifth dimension into the fourth dimensional line that we are experiencing as time. End quote. Shrivastava, 2022.
Quote, general relativity is a physical theory about space and time, and it has a beautiful mathematical description. According to general relativity, the space-time is a four-dimensional object that has to obey an equation called the Einstein equation, which explains how the matter curves the space-time. End quote. Dutfield et al. 2023. Quote, general relativity explains gravity, and in this theory, it is not really a force anymore. The gravitational field comes out of the description of general relativity as a result of the curved spacetime. End quote. Dutfield et al. 2023. Quote, general relativity has passed all the experimental tests so far, but its applicability is expected to break down when the effects of quantum mechanics, the theory of the very small particles, should become dominant. End quote. Dutfield et al. 2023.
However, things get even more smaller and fundamental than fermions, bosons, and leptons. M-theory is thus far the most fundamental explanation of the existence of life. Instead of particles, everything that exists are fields. We have electron fields, photon fields, particle fields such as quarks, and so on. All that exists are these fields with no mass, along with dark matter and dark energy. In my personal opinion, dark matter and dark energy are the dimensions we cannot interfere with because of conflicting different vibrational frequencies. With this, who knows how many dimensions there really are. In the fields, there is no perceived matter until the fields interfere with one another. The electron field must interfere with the photon, exchanging the photon between electrons to produce the electromagnetic field. Strings are basically the result of the interference between fields, thus they can appear and fade out anywhere. In reality, all is an illusion, put together by the interference of massless fields with one another. The interference produces waves, which can also break up into particles, and at the same time, all can stop interference and fade out into the fields, or produce larger interference patterns into larger perceived mass.
Quote, let's start with the basics. Quantum field theory posits that all particles, spinning or not, are local excitations or fluctuations within quantum fields. These fields play an important role in enforcing the laws of nature. End quote. Davis, 2023.
However, there is no mass without the God particle. The God particle is better known as the Higgs boson. The Higgs boson is the perceived particle produced by the all-permeating endless Higgs field. God or Higgs is a field just like all the rest of the fields. When massless particles produced by the waves, which are created by interferences between fields, are interfered with by the Higgs particle produced by waves in the Higgs field, the particles receive mass.
Quote, From the quantum field theory perspective, when we are thinking about everything, we think that everything is made up of fields, says Noshin Shah, associate professor of physics at Wayne State University. That's the electromagnetic field, gravitational field, but also all the particles, the electron field, the Higgs field. All of these are fields that are permeating space. End quote. Davis, 2023.
The Higgs field is extremely important because without it, nothing would have mass. The Higgs boson gives mass to all other particles with the exception of photons. Photons have no mass. Photons may be massless, but colliding photons produce particles and antiparticles.
Quote, the fact that the Higgs field has zero spin is an important element of the Higgs mechanism, the way the Higgs field gives particles mass. The source of mass for fundamental particles, it has to be spin zero, Shah says. Physics has to be the same if you translate or rotate or boost to a different frame of reference. It just has to be. End quote. Davis, 2023. Quote, quantum fields have a vacuum expectation value of 0 unless a particle is present. The one exception to this rule is the Higgs field. The Higgs field has a non-zero vacuum expectation value throughout all of space-time, meaning there is always some value associated with it, even when no Higgs particles are present. What's more, that value is constant, meaning you can measure it at any place or time, and you'll always get the same answer. End quote. Davis, 2023.
In my theory, all began with an instant simultaneous collision of googolplexes of photons. This one quantum superposition Big Bang happened all at once simultaneously, producing googolplexes of universes. In my theory, this happened on a conscious level, a level of spirituality, physics, and science we haven't reached yet, but is understood by entities in other dimensions and other worlds in this dimension who are far more advanced than us. According to scientific studies, the photons have to be highly energetic gamma rays colliding with each other to produce matter and antimatter. In my theory, there could have possibly been eons of photons concentrated in a void or non-existence the size of a pea or smaller that collided with one another, producing googolplexes of black holes with the matter field realities on the other side of the black holes. This is based off of my philosophical and theoretical thinking, not physics or science. This collision of photons would produce googolplexes of theoretical big bangs, with our universe being one of eons. There has been many theories of thought being quantum or having qualities of superposition. I support the concept of thoughts being in superposition. In my theoretical thinking, the thought came first. Every sentient being that exists anywhere in reality comes from the initial thought. The initial thought is the mother of all thoughts. Everything that exists shares the same thought. There is no new thought, but only thought itself. If you think it, then it exists somewhere in reality. Thought is beyond anything in our physical reasoning. Thought is one with awareness and consciousness. The physical brain processes actions in physicality slower than the speed of light, but thought itself is consciousness, and consciousness operates outside of physical reality. Thought is in a constant superposition. In this case, thought is already at the finish line waiting on light. As aforementioned, all of existence are particle fields collapsed into perceived realities by the superposition, all-pervasive thought. So in conclusion, all is perception. Everything that we see in front of us is perception. It's based on our perception. It's based on whatever our eyeballs take in to our brain. Our brain breaks it down and transcribes it into visual for us, which is all based on our perception. That's what reality is. Each individual has their own perception. Now, many may say that we all see the same thing, Yes, we do, because we have a collective conscious. And that collective conscious forms our perception. Planet Earth is a collective conscious. Our souls on this planet are part of a collective conscious. And even in that collective conscious, each individual has their own perception, so there will be a slight difference. However, everything is all perception. What one person sees could be completely different from what another person sees, because it's all perception. We make our reality. And we don't even see everything on real time. There's like a 7-second delay for the information to be processed that our eyes take in, for the information to be processed, for us to know what's in front of us. So there's like a 7-second delay. Some people's more swift than others at perception, or processing the information, and others are a little bit slower than others at processing the information. However, all is perception. Not only that, but everything comes from reality is all, for the most part, empty space. For instance, we're all made of atoms. Atoms are always in motion, they're never still. And if you were to blow up the nucleus of an atom to the size of a tennis ball, the diameter of the atom would be about roughly 1,500 feet. And the electron cloud around the nucleus would probably be like, the electron would be like the size of a peanut. So everything is mostly empty space. And to go even further, particles are really part of fields, like these zero mass fields that once they get it, when excitations happen, or when they get aroused, then a particle will appear, a massless particle. But thanks to the Higgs boson, or the Higgs field, that particle gains mass. That's how we get particles. That's how we get the strings that make up the atoms. And then we get, and that's how we get the fields for our perception, for our conscious, to make it to, or collapse into a reality. So everything is perception. Everything that we see is based on our perception, and we make our reality. So, and the reason why I'm making a point of this is because, there's a lot of people in bad situations, and I know it can seem like very real, very concrete, which based on our perception of reality, it is. However, everything is one thought away. Everything is a thought process. You change your way of thinking, you can change your reality and give yourself a much better reality. We are what we think. And if you can think more on a positive scale, positive note, we'll have much more positive outcomes and a much better reality to exist in. Well, to the next time, much love to the universe, much love to Source, much love to all that exists. And also check out my book, Domain of Entirety. A lot of information in that book based on these subjects that I talk about. And if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and subscribe. Till next time, much love.